This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Countries across Asia are weighing up work-from-home policies and stimulus measures enforced during the COVID pandemic, as they scramble to respond to global fuel shortages triggered by the Iran war. Asia is at the front line of the fuel crisis, buying more than 80% of the crude that transits the Strait of Hormuz, which has been almost totally blocked by Iran since the war broke out on February 28. No country in the region has enforced work-from-home measures yet, but some have said they are on the table.
Israel and Iran exchanged airstrikes on Wednesday, as Iran's military rejected President Donald Trump's assertion the US was in negotiations to end the war which has roiled energy and financial markets, saying the US is negotiating with itself. The rejection of negotiations by the unified command of the Iranian armed forces, which is dominated by the hardline elite Revolutionary Guards, comes amid reports the US has sent a 15-point plan for discussion to Tehran. Has the level of your inner struggle reached the stage of you, Trump, negotiating with yourself? The top spokesperson for Iran's Joint Military Command, Ibrahim Zolfikari, said on Iranian state TV.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
The global energy crisis is deepening as emergency measures by governments worldwide have fallen short of plugging the huge shortfall in oil and gas supply caused by the US-Israeli war on Iran, executives and oil ministers said on Tuesday. Costs for energy, fertilizers and petrochemicals are soaring as the world is losing as much as 20 million barrels of oil per day from Middle East producers due to Iran's effective closure of the shipping choke point of the Strait of Hormuz. United Airlines on Tuesday said it may have to raise ticket prices by up to 20%. The Philippines declared a national energy emergency. The acute energy supply shock now hitting Asia, the region most heavily reliant on Middle East supplies, will spread to Europe in April.
U.S. suppliers have shipped approximately 30,000 barrels of fuel to Cuba's private sector this year to date, according to documents and shipping data viewed by Reuters, suggesting a Trump administration plan to give private business a leg up over state-run enterprise is well underway. Since January, the United States has been enforcing a de facto oil blockade against its longtime foe in a bid to starve Cuba of fuel and pressure its government into submission. But it has made an exception for the communist-run country's small but vital private sector. Next, we have the top news in metal market. Copper prices bounced on Wednesday after reports the U.S. was seeking a ceasefire in the Iran war and due to firmer Chinese demand, but the market was wary after Tehran denied there were any negotiations. Benchmark 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange climbed 1.3% to $12,257 per metric ton by 10:30 GMT, having slipped by 0.6% in the previous session. Copper seems like it's stabilizing, but we are potentially approaching the beginning of the end of the war. Certainly not the end because it takes two to tango, said Ole Hansen, head of commodity strategy at Saxo Bank in Copenhagen.
India's imports of iron ore, a key raw material in steelmaking, are set to rise to a 7-year high in the fiscal year ending on March 31, driven by a shortage of high-grade ore and demand from JSW Steel, analysts and industry executives said. Overall imports are likely to reach 12 million to 14 million metric tons in 2025-26, more than doubling from a year earlier, analysts and trade officials said. JSW Steel, India's biggest steelmaker by capacity, was a key driver of iron ore imports for its mills in the western state of Maharashtra and the southern state of Karnataka, said Lalit Ladkat, a senior analyst at London-based consultancy CRU.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Windsor is among 5 of a Myanmar family who fan out on motorcycles most nights from their small village in the rice-growing Irrawaddy Delta to queue at fuel depots that might yield a few jerry cans of diesel for his tractor. Some even sleep there overnight, said the farmer, adding that lines of buyers on motorcycles and tractors formed as early as 3 a.m. This is a total waste of manpower and time. Myanmar's economy, battered by 5 years of civil war since a military coup in 2021, is reeling under a fresh blow from the Iran conflict, which has driven up global oil prices and made domestic supplies scarce. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.